Hello, it's Wednesday. I messed up a little bit, didn't I? I didn't mean to show you. I didn't mean to show you the wheel, governor. And it meant the clock started all over again. So I interceded and brought it forward. How are you, ladies and gentlemen? Including, of course, Taylor Swift announces more UK tour dates. Never really got Taylor Swift. I mean, I know I'm old enough to be her granddad and stuff, but never really kind of done it for me in a nice way. And, you know, her songs are okay, but they're not amazing. I mean, they're just okay. You know what I mean? I don't want to put her down. I'm just saying how I feel about her. That's all. I mean, I think she's a lovely human being and stuff. But anyway, if you're into Taylor Swift, according to my phone, there's more UK dates to come. How are you, Adam? Good to see you, my friend. I see we have the king of entertainment, the cowboy, and Joe as well. Happy Wednesday, yow! Wanted to drop in on my lunch break and say hello. Well, bless you, my friend. Thank you for that. Great to see you. And Ant is a Taylor fan. Yeah, I get it. I understand. No, look, you know what? She's inoffensive pop, isn't she? She's inoffensive. She's a clean living gal. You know, she's kind to puppies and God. I mean, what more do you want? Don't get me wrong. I don't dislike her. I've never got the mass appeal that she has, and she's massive. I mean, just huge. Though I didn't see any notification. Yeah, I don't know what goes there. Do you have the bell clicked? You know, the old the bell. Do you have the bells? Do you have that ticked? Because I think, I mean, obviously, if that isn't ticked, then it's no great surprise. Monitor only. And there he is. I've got to keep you on your toes, you young scallies. I'm listening to myself over there. Yes. So anyway, so that's why King Kong is as big as he is. You didn't know that, you see, did you? I knew you were waiting to hear that. And don't you dare tell me you couldn't hear me, so you don't know what I said. Amazing story about King Kong. It's actually physically not possible for any mammal to be that big on the Earth. It could probably be supported in the water, but not on the Earth. Physically not possible to do with bone density and stuff. But I always felt sorry for King Kong. I really did. He was just trying to mind his own business in his little backyard on his island, Skull Island, and he protected the lady whose name I forget. And he was just trying to look out for her, and they took him to New York, and the whole thing went mad, and he ends up going up. Actually, depending on which film you watch, in the very early films, of course, he went up the Empire State Building, but in the later remake, he went up the Twin Towers. Ooh, dear. I somehow think we're not going to see that one ever again on telly. Apparently, I got a tan playing Diablo. How'd you get a tan playing Diablo 43? How's that work? Is it where you were like, did you go into the future? Were you like, went to the year 3000 and all that stuff, Raymond? Hey, listen, guys, I hope you had a fantastic Independence Day. I was all set to wear my prized American polo shirt with it's got the flag and 4th of July on it and stuff, but didn't happen. The year 2043. In the year 2043, well, I know that I will be 100 in the year 2067. So it's got to be like 73, 74, I don't know. Somewhere like that. I get to retire that year. What age do you guys retire in the States? Our official retirement date's just gone up in the UK. I think I've just escaped, because it was 65 for men. It used to be a different date for women as well. I think it was like 61 for women for some reason. And then they unified it so that it's all the same date. Makes sense. But, you know, the whole world we have this problem. The whole world has the problem, apart from Russia. Russia's going the other way. The problem in the world is largely through medical advances and better working conditions globally and better nutrition, or at least nutritional knowledge globally. We're all living longer, and we're not designed to live that long. I think I read somewhere once that as an animal, we're at our peak in our 30s. And if you go back far enough, thousands of years ago, we'd rarely live beyond our 50s. Because we kind of, if you think about what an animal is here to do on the planet, most of them, in fact, I can't think of one that doesn't, it's to continue the genus, right? The DNA. I don't know why. I mean, there's the big question, isn't it? Why is every single living creature on the planet, with no exception, why do they all have a desperate need to continue the species? Now, it's an obvious question, but it ain't an obvious question, because they're all the same. And why hasn't evolution, God, nature, your choice, made it so that we can just live by completely replacing ourselves all the time? Because we do that, you know, I think it's every 9 years we completely replace the cells in our body. But there comes a point where the master plan of all it becomes degraded and gets full of mutations and stuff, and then we die. Why does that happen? Happens across the world. It's bizarre, isn't it? I don't know. Every single animal. There was a really good point I was trying to make. It's gone out of my head. Retirement. Yeah. I don't know. It's gone up, like Sam said, I think 67. Yes, we're all living too long. That's it. Absolutely. Every 7 years. I thought it was 7 or 9. I'll go with 7. I'm not completely sure. But basically, we completely replace every single cell in our body. So every 7 years, we're a different human to the one that we were 7 years before. The problem is that when it starts to replace all of the cells, then you get defects enter in. Okay, we're going 9. I don't mind. And it's those defects that ultimately give us cancer and stuff like that. It's pretty nasty, really. But any road up, we shouldn't live beyond 50. We're all living now into our late 70s and beyond. Except two things. There's a declining population in Russia, which is one of the reasons why they have had this empirical plan and strategy over the last X years to try and take over other territory, because they don't have enough people in their country to sustain their size. That's a fact. And the other one, of course, is that we're going backwards in the UK since we left the EU. Children are getting shorter and people are living less. So, you know, we like to buck the trend, but still there are more people alive. And of course it makes a huge problem. And if you couple that with climate change, so you've got some of the hottest countries in the world that could potentially become inhospitable over the next 20 years. Imagine some of the really, really hot North African countries, which are hot enough now, but they could get to a point 20 years where you just can't live there. It's just literally beyond human endurance. So those people are going to want to migrate outwards. And as they migrate outwards, they're going to put strain on other countries. This is partly why there's this whole fear around migration, but it can be handled sensibly. But with reduced child mortality, so, you go back Victorian times and a bit later, most people would have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus kids because you'd lose a big chunk of them. Sadly, infant mortality was very high. Of course, that's now come down to 2.1 or whatever the stat is, because they typically are going to live. And because of that, those children now are not desperate to marry and have their own kids until later in life, because back in the 60s and before, it was really important to get married young and start a family, because you didn't know if you'd have to replace the ones you just had through infant mortality. Now, although in the 60s and 70s already the quality of life had got to a point where we weren't losing so many, it was still very much a cultural thing in the Western world to do that. Whereas now, we don't even think about it. We think, no, we're not. Why would my children die of a natural cause? It doesn't happen very often. So young people, almost subconsciously, at an evolutionary cultural level, are having children much later. And that's having a strain on the population. So there are less people of a certain age that are able to go out and work because children are being born later. There's a bigger gap. So all of these things, macroeconomics, are going on in the world. The problem is, and all of them are really, they're all factual. They're actual problems. The problem is, there's my modem again. Hang on. Download. It's downloaded a jet. The problem is that the governments of the world, rather than actually have that conversation and say, look, guys, this is where it is, right? We can't have cake and eat it. We can either all live really long, but we're probably going to have to do something about taxes, etc., because we can't afford. In the UK, is a stat for you. In the UK, 50%, half of the spending on healthcare with what we have, which is the National Health Service, half of that money goes towards the care of the over 80s. Half of it goes to 80-year-olds and older. So, and of course, they are no longer generating money to put back into the system to pay for their care. Because you see, when you're paying taxes that go into the state, they're not going into a pot for your future. They're going into today's costs. It's the people of the future who are paying for us as elderly folk. And if there are less people in a country to pay for those elderly folk, then those elderly folk ain't getting the same care. The problem we have in the UK is right now, and to an extent most of the Western world, is this big fear about migrants coming in. But all countries need them, because we've all got a deficit of people putting into the coffers. So it's a good thing. We need more of them. All countries need more. Australia has just increased the age at which you can come and work in Australia without having a skill. So it used to be that you could go and work in Australia as long as you were a nurse or a doctor or whatever, up to the age of 30, I believe. They've now extended that to 35, and there's more changes to come. And this is simply because all of these countries realise everybody needs to move around and have migration. But the problem is, if you take doctors from an African country where the state of education is fairly poor, and therefore only a very small percentage of that population become doctors, you're reducing the amount of doctors they have in that country. So they end up in a real problem. And where are they going to pull their doctors from? You see, the whole thing is incredibly complicated and goes way beyond reading a couple of Aunt Edith's Facebook posts. Adam found a graph showing US, UK and Japan life expectancy. US dropped a lot, yeah. UK went down. Japan is doing really well on all counts. It's bizarre. They had, during the pandemic, the UK lost a significant number of people. And I've got to get this right. Japan, who had as many, if not more, infections, had like 10% deaths because of the way that their health service was better prepared for it and stuff. But yeah, Japan's an interesting country. It really is. Oh, sorry, it's got like an eyelash in my eye. Anyway, you wouldn't know it because of the last 20 minutes, but it's Happy Wednesday. Well, you know, I mean, look, all of that's happy, really, because the important thing is, if you appreciate the situation, then we can work together, because there is genuinely solutions that will work for everybody. The problem comes when you get extremists that use the information for their own bad, not their own good. You know, there are the far right, for example, and I'm guessing to a degree, probably the extreme left as well. You know, they use migration as the ball that they beat the drum to all the time. When there's a problem anywhere in the world, they'll blame foreigners because it's so much easier. If you think about it, our history as an animal relied on caution when somebody new came into our territory. Are they coming as a friend or a foe? Hang on, modem's going again. Oh, it's Jet Set Willy for the Spectrum. So we have an instinctive concern when we see new people for the first time. If they come into, you imagine if you're in having your beans in front of the TV watching, I don't know, Sylvester Stallone's Family Show, which I'm loving, and the door opens and some stranger walks in. I mean, your first reaction is going to be, throw your plate of beans at them. They're here to do damage. Why would they? And that's a natural instinct to have. I mean, how many people go, oh, welcome, stranger. Welcome into my house. Take a seat. Would you like some beans? Doesn't happen, does it? And of course, the far right work off the basis that these people coming to our country, they don't look like us. They're coming from Mexico, or they're coming from Eastern Europe, or they're coming from Africa or wherever. It's easier for them if they're a different look. You know, it's much harder if they're coming from Sweden because they kind of look like us, right, if you're white and Anglo-Saxon. But it's much easier to say, see those people that are of a slightly different colour to you over there? Yeah, watch out for them. And that's the bit that we as humans struggle with, and the less educated are much easier to provoke on that basis. Education is the key. Guys, exclamation mark win. Daddy got shot in the face. I do feel for Daddy. Has got in with a ticket. Well done. Well done, all of you that have noticed. Exclamation mark win. Get them in. We're okay for another 19 minutes. And then we'll spin the wheel. Spin the wheel. Of course, RM won Horizon Zero Dawn the other week, or the other day. I think it was Monday. I can't believe I haven't been on since Monday. But I've left it in there. So there's still a chance. Look at Ryan. Did you see a little photo of Ryan there? Hey, how is life? Ryan and Crystal, how are you enjoying it? King Kong versus Godzilla. Nah, Godzilla's the worst looking monster ever. He has this huge body. Like, you know, I mean, massive. Even if he was a tiny thing, irrespective of his massive height, like, he's like got thick legs and a huge tail, and then he's got this tiny little head. He's got like a gecko's head on a monitor lizard's body. It doesn't work for me. I've always wanted to like just grab the corners of his head with my mouse and just expand them out. King Kong's good, but see, the poor old gorillas have had a terrible bit of press, really, haven't they, since the 1920s, since Fay Ray and the original King Kong. Ray Harryhausen did all of the stop frame animation, amazing stuff. But poor old King Kong, because of course gorillas are vegetarian. They're actually very peaceful creatures, far more so than chimps. Chimpanzees are nasty, as you'd expect, because they're only something like 1 or 2% different to us genetically. But gorillas, Harambe, yes, poor Harambe, absolutely. What is a little hand? Oh, Gorillas in the Mist, what a lovely movie. I love gorillas. They're very, very peaceful creatures. The only time they do the whole chest beating thing and run at you is for bravado. It's just to say, you can't come in my house. I haven't got any beans. And we're trying to watch the Stallone show. That's the only time it happens. Chimps, on the other hand, would say, what are you doing in my house, as they rip your head off? Oh, yes. Nasty, nasty critters, those chimps. If you think about the Planet of the Apes movies, my favourite. When I was a kid, I loved those movies. But if you think about the chimps in the movies, the white guys, right? They were the scientists, weren't they? They were the peaceful people. Or Galen, or Cornelius, as I think it was called in the film, and Zira, Dr. Zira. They were the peaceful ones. And okay, the ginger-haired Ed Sheeran orangutans, although not guitarists, they were the lawgivers. But the gorillas, the blacks, they were like warmongers and vicious and nasty, and none of that's true. They should have been the peaceful ones. It was the chimps. Chimps got a decent rap, and the poor old gorillas, they've never had a good rap. And I don't understand people that want a gorilla hand ashtray. What's that? What is that all about? What kind of human wants a piece of another animal as a trophy or as a piece of furniture? What's that all about? Madness. It's great to see so many of you. Thank you so much, guys. Some have come and some have gone. Some have entered the competition and disappeared again. Well, I thought I was entertaining and informative. But I'm sure more of you will come, and let's see who we got down here today. And we go all the way to the top. We have got the wonderful Dorrigan, who you're not been feeling too good, my friend. I did notice a comment earlier which isn't here anymore at the top of my list. I hope you're well, brother. The absolutely stunningly gorgeous Miss Phoenix, of course, and my very dear friend Ant, Cowboy King of Entertainment. Rouster, the very lovely Rouster, of course. Young Neil, I was in Neil's home territory. I didn't realise it last week, but when I was going across to the Isle of Wight on a ferry, turns out I was like about half an hour from Neil. We should have met for a coffee, brother. I mean, it should have just happened, shouldn't it? I was in Southampton, and then Bournemouth, and then Portsmouth. I know there was no King Kong sentence, Sam. I was joking. It was after I was muted, but it did at least offer me up enough of a content line to keep going for another 20 minutes, which I was quite proud of. I've got to be honest with you. And who else we got in here? We've got the wonderful Crystal. And the amazing Reva. Oh, we have young Al as well, who is our composer extraordinaire, of course. A big talent. And thank you very much, my friend, for everything you do for us. Yeah, 50% is true. I mean, it may be less or more now, but certainly last year it was the stat. 50% of the UK 50% of the NHS budget goes towards the over 80s. Basically, because of course statistically most of us would have fallen at the fence. I always remember seeing one of the very first ever film recordings, with a camera, video. It wouldn't have been video, it was proper film. But it was filmed in, I want to say 1901. That was the year Victoria died, end of Victorian period. But I think it was slightly later than that, maybe 1904 or something like that. And Christian, how are you? Good to see you. I meant to say Christian as well. Big Steve is also here. Good to see you, Steve. I'm going to come back to this because it's a very important point. Crystal, the lovely Crystal. Dr. Funtime has got in. Metalhead Raver. Wonder who that could possibly be. Getting in there with the old win. Excellent stuff. Hump Day. Bat Reaver. Daddy got shot in the face. I don't know. Christian, of course, the lovely Christian. Who else we got here? I'm just going to quick whip down the line and then I'm going to get back to my story about that. And of course, my wonderful friend Raymond. Thank you so much, my friend. If I could enter the contest for each of my Diablo characters, I'd win. How many have you got? I thought there was only 4 types, or have you made loads of copies? Anyway, there were these old ladies coming out. It was a film of a factory, I think in Manchester, England, northwest England. And there were these little old ladies coming out, really haggard-looking little old ladies. And the commentator, which was now, because they were commentating on the film, was saying these women, although they look in their 70s or older, probably in their early 50s, because life was so hard that you can imagine these poor women had probably had multiple children. They probably lost multiple children, may or may not have a partner anymore, probably lived in a 1-bedroom part of a house with all of her family, and then the whole rest of the house shared with other families. I mean, just a really, really tough time. Same age as me, actually probably younger, and look really, really haggard. So, and this is all within just over 100-year period. But there are too many people on the planet, full stop. If you look at the curve for the growth of humans, Homo sapiens, over the last 100 years, I want to say, it's ridiculous. So if you go back 500 years, there was something like 1 million. That's 5 million people on the planet, something really small. Let's call it 20 million across the world. And then in the 1950s, it was something like 1.2 billion or a billion. It wasn't massive. And then like this, over the last 60, 70 years, we're now up to something like 9 billion. The planet cannot sustain that many of us. It can't. There is not enough resource. And there is therefore an inevitability about conflict or disease, because nature will not let it's Michael Jackson. It's all right, Michael. Nature will not let that kind of anomaly continue for too long. It can't. You think about in nature, if there are too many rabbits, then foxes come from nowhere and they just take them all out. It's just the way nature works. It's all about balance, isn't it? Something's got to give. I'm happily, look, I've got 30 years if I'm lucky, right? I'll be gone. Plenty of room. If you want to have any kids now, I'll leave some space. You'll be good. Miss Phoenix, I got my new druid to 51 yesterday. See, that would have been an old person, mate, back in the day. Did get a little help. You and your Diablos, I've moved on. That was yesterday. We've got some good news. We have got some good news, because it's Good News Wednesday. I do like to go and have a look at the good news, and we've got some good news. But in terms of games, I have finally managed to spend some time in Hogwarts, and I am loving it. I'm up to, level 16, I think, 16 or 17. I've got my broom now, I've done my beasts, I'm loving it. See, the weird thing is, when I do a save, it says 14 hours or something. But when I look at Steam, it says I've been playing it for 38 and a half. I just welcome another another granddaughter into the world. So now kids are having kids. Wow, that's amazing, buddy. It's my eldest, it was her birthday last week. She's the same age now that I was when my wife and I got married. So it's bizarre, but different times. Granddaddy cowboy. Yeah, that's amazing. Well done. Congrats, my friend. Yeah, but I've got Alien Descent coming tomorrow, which is that top-down game that I showed you I had on my boomerang list. They've mailed me to say it's coming tomorrow. So looking forward to that. It's something a little bit different. But I've been playing Hogwarts. What else? I finished Dead Island 2, which I loved. Oh, I noticed, by the way, I don't know if you've got a PlayStation, I noticed today that Alan Wake Remastered's available as part of your PlayStation Plus thing. So I've downloaded that. I'm going to give that a little play. That looked good. Because we've got the new Alan Wake game coming, haven't we, in the not too distant future. So long live the Beaver Army. I don't know what caused that, but long live them anyway. What else have I been doing? I've been watching some Suits. I've got back into my Suits. I've still got 3 seasons of Suits left. So I've been gradually working through it over the last few years, and I love it. I love it. Tell you what else we've been watching. Myself, the youngest, and Mrs. Rokk, we've been watching Platonic on Apple. If you've got Apple TV, do not miss Platonic. Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne, I think she's called. It is absolutely superb. So funny. It's a great kind of rom-com. I think we're up to 5 or 6. I think we're up to episode 5 or 6, but there's a few more. But so good. So Rokk, tell us your thoughts of why you decided against Final Fantasy 16. I'd like to say it was after hearing your review, but it wasn't, because I'd actually deleted it off my list yesterday. I think similarly to Diablo 4, there's a kind of FOMO thing. We all get it, and I watch you guys going, "Oh, Diablo, it's fantastic! Final Fantasy 16, amazing!" And I don't listen to my inner self, which says, "But you didn't like the previous ones." And you're right, Phoenix, the demo wouldn't run on my PlayStation. It wouldn't. So it was always a small risk that the game wouldn't either. But I just thought to myself, you're not going to play it. I've never been invested in Final Fantasy. I'm not a fan of games that are story heavy. I like a game with a story, but I don't like it when you've got to sit there for 30 minutes and watch cutscenes. And I know Ant said, after I'd sent it back, Ant said last night, that's one of the things with it. And funnily enough, they were making a big thing about Baldur's Gate 3 having more cutscenes than all the Star Wars movies together, and saying how great it was. I was actually thinking, stuff that. That's a good reason not to play it. So I don't know. I just called it, mate. I just thought, nah, it's going to come. It'll come to PlayStation Plus Premium at some point, and I'll pick it up and play it then. But for now, I thought, I actually quite like the look of Aliens Descent. That looks good. And that's what's coming. So I thought I'd have a little play of that. It looks pretty cool. In fact, should we go over to Simple Larry? And before we do the good news, because I've got some good news, I'll have a look at a trailer for Alien Descent, because I haven't actually seen anything other than a few pictures. Aliens Dark Descent. Let's get ourselves over to Lazar. There we are. Here he is. There we are. There I is. There I is. There I is. There we go. What do we got here? Alien story trailer. That's 50k. I'm not interested in the story. I just want to see it. A bit of play. Official 4K trailer. Let me turn the sound off. Let's watch this, see what we think. I think you'd love the combat, but trying to get through everything to get the combat, yeah. So, for a little while, I thought maybe it'd be like Forspoken, which you and I both love. And the thing is, Anne, to be honest, having decided not to rent it, and then seeing yesterday your analysis of it, I thought I was right to do it, because you and I, nearly every time, there's a couple of games we don't share an enjoyment of, but mostly of the new games that come out, you and I usually pretty bang on with our assessments. So this is Aliens Dark Descent, quite clearly a big old CGI thing that has no bearing on the game at all. There probably won't even be any gameplay, but it's I do love the whole Aliens universe thing anyway, with the xenomorphs and all that stuff. Let me see, how far does this go on before we see any actual gameplay? Because I know it's, you know, it's going to be aliens, and there he is. Oh, look at his tail. So clever. When I was watching the end of Alien the other night, I was just thinking to myself, how clever were they to come up with that alien idea with the acid blood, you know, and the extending mouth and stuff. Just so clever. Yeah, as I suspected, literally no gameplay. So let's have a look at IGN review. We'll whip it into the game. Here we go. So I'm banking on it being a bit like the Ascent, not the Descent, sorry, the Ascent, which I really enjoyed. So it looks like we can run the four characters down there. So is it going to be one of those where you have to position a character and then it's your turn and then you have to... I don't mind those. I don't mind those at all. It looks like it's going to be one of those, doesn't it? So you've got aliens coming at you and then you've got to like choose your character that's going to do... Yeah. So the first character goes in with a gun or whatever. I think it's going to be one of those. What do they call those? What are they called? What's that kind of game called again? I played one on Stadia, which actually got one of my highest ever streams, viewings. But I can't remember what that kind of a game is called. But anyway, it's that kind of a thing, isn't it? Ooh, turn-based combat. That's the fella. Thank you, my friend. Just to let you guys know, if you haven't already, there's 1 minute left to enter today's draw. And we have 17 entries, which is not bad at all. So, RTS, is that what it's called? Is that what it's called, man? But it looks like it could be that. I was kind of hoping it would be more of like the Ascent, where you just basically run around top down. Happy with top down, you know, where you can't actually move the camera, it kind of follows you around. I don't mind that, that's fine. But no, this one looks like you send your troops. But it looks good. I mean, it looks well designed graphically. We've got these nice little cut scenes, and they look like they've got some decent mocap animation going on. Yeah, well, I'll let you know, and maybe I'll even stream it. I might even do a little stream. I've got a couple of games that I do need to stream, actually. Scathe is one of them, and the other one is a sequel to a game that I played, or we played on Stadia. But for the life of me, I can't think what it was called. Trumpets and stuff. Oh, look, hang on. First person stuff going on here. Hello? Oh, well, that was a surprise. Yep, say love to the dogs, Sam. Love to the doggies. Real-time strategy. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, my friend. I've been tussling recently with whether I should give up on gaming and stuff, because I just know so little about it. I mean, I know a lot, but I know nothing. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. This looks all right. I could go with this. Right. Before we do the Wheel of Fortune, let's go and have a quick look at some good news. This one is fascinating. So see those three little folk there? They have discovered the tallest tree in Asia, a 335-foot cypress. Discovered it, unbeknownst. They didn't know it existed until they found this thing. How amazing is that? Like, there's so much to discover, and yet we're chopping down the Amazon, or at least we were. Thankfully, they've got a new president now. But we were chopping down the Amazon at a rate of like the size of Denmark every day or something. Something disgusting. Hey, Ron! Raffle! Too late, mate. Mate, I reckon you watch. And when it says that the draw is over, you just jump in. I do love your comedy timing, it has to be said. China is a big country. Oh, this is in China. If you look up at the tallest tree in Asia, a yellow Meranti Sharia faguitiana with a height of 330 feet, or 331, found in Malaysia. But this new one is 335 feet. I reckon the old Chinese climbed to the top and stapled a few twigs just to say, no, ours is the tallest. Wow, look at this thing. Hang on. Wow, look at that. So follow the mouse. Here it goes. And it's still going. I don't know if that stops there or whether it's going on. I think it's going on. I think that's the top of it there. Flippin' heck. Amazing. It's nice, good, isn't it? Now this guy here sells bracelets, and he uses reconstituted plastic bottles, and because of that, he's just passed 30 million pounds of waste pulled from the sea. Now that's good news. See, the problem is every time and we're all culpable in this, every time we drink a bottle of water, a plastic bottle, we throw it away, that thing spends 10,000 years somewhere on the planet before it degrades. Some people are working on biodegradable plastic bottles, but the problem is getting the timing right. Because if you don't, and you see a lot of these things are stuck on shelves and in warehouses for a long time. You think you're opening a nice fresh bottle of water. That could be 2 years old, that thing. It doesn't matter because it's, they extract the air, but nonetheless, that's what's going on. So we're all throwing away unbelievable amounts of plastic. Some of it literally ends up in these, not landfills, mountains of plastic in India. And I'm talking about New York skyscraper size. It's a real travesty. It is. It's terrible. Anyway, this dude has been, there's lots of people that do this, by the way, take recycle materials into things like shoes or furniture or jewellery, but 30 million pounds. I mean, it sounds a lot. If it was 30 million tons, I mean, what's 30 million pounds? What's that, about 3 million tons? I'm not sure. I'm sure it's a lot. It's great anyway. Good on him. Yeah, keep doing it, dude. Oh, look, what's that? 400-year-old Ming dynasty table worth $80,000 inherited from a relative who loved anything Asian. Well, that's a bit of a story, I suppose. Well done to them. Oh, look at this little jade turtle. First recorded birth. It's not. It's a real turtle. I thought it was an ornament. First recorded birth of critically endangered Burmese peacock turtle. Oh, look at it. He's a cute little fella. Bet he snaps like a demon, though. The first recorded birth of a critically endangered Burmese peacock turtle. See, evolution's a funny old thing, and undoubtedly there are species that are just not fit for purpose anymore, and so they invariably die out. And that's nature, and it's horrible, but it's kind of the way it goes. However, when they die out because of something we've done, like poisoning the water or destroying their environment, that's just despicable, isn't it? And that's the problem. I mean, yeah, I don't know about the Burmese peacock turtle. I mean, it may just have come to the end of its evolutionary life, but I suspect, I think Burma's famous for teak production. I may be wrong on this. I don't want to diss the Burmese, but it may well be something to do with what we've done. Sweden is trying to build a whole city borough out of wood to show what's possible. Hang on a minute. All of America's made out of wood. You guys don't make brick houses. What are they talking about? Everything's wood in America. Wow, Sweden, what are you playing at? The only piece of Roman pottery inscribed with poet Virgil's verse discovered. I don't know who poet Virgil is, but it's lovely that they found a piece of pottery with it on. Oh, look. Earless, a dragon feared extinct, is rediscovered after 50 years in Australia. Now, it's not a dragon with wings, folks. It'll be a little Australian dragon lizard or whatever they're called. Last sighted in 1969. That was 2 years after I was born. Now I know, I don't look it, but it's true. A tiny lizard from the Australian state of Queensland has been rediscovered by scientists who now hope to act fast to ascertain its numbers. Not all dragons can be fearsome fire breathers. The Victorian grassland earless dragon, Tympanocryptis pinguicola, is just 6 inches. Once commonly found in grasslands west of Melbourne, the little drake diminished at the paws of invasive predators. Do you know, it's a real shame in Australia. And to be fair, wherever sailors from Europe went, they took species that were not meant to be in that country. So, for instance, sugarcane farmers in the 1930s, I think, maybe 1920s, but sugarcane farmers in Australia brought in these massive toads because they discovered that they ate the particular insects that blighted the sugarcane that they were growing. Problem is, these things, now known as cane toads, are the size of cats. They're massive. And they eat everything. Birds, lizards, fish, everything. They've become an absolute pest. It's true. And as quickly as they kill them, they just keep coming. Cane toads. But this is true. Foxes and cats were not indigenous to Australia. They were taken across by Westerners. In Britain, we used to have our most prevalent squirrel was the red squirrel. And then they brought the grey squirrel over from America. I forget why now. There was a reason. I can't remember if it was agricultural or purely for show. Either way, they killed off all the red squirrels. You've got to go to Scotland and Wales now, or Ireland, to see a red squirrel. They've been absolutely decimated by the introduced grey squirrel from America. It's true. Such a shame. Yet again, humans, you see. Anyway, the little lizard. So that's all good news, isn't it? Bless him. What's going on here? German museums work year-round to find rightful heirs to hundreds of stolen Jewish silver pieces. Not such a happy story, of course. During the Holocaust in World War II, Germans, it was virtually an industry in taking all of the wealth, gold teeth, jewelry, money, anything at all that they wanted from the Jewish folk who were exterminated. It was absolutely disgusting. And a lot of that wealth, paintings and statues and stuff, is still hidden away across the world. It's a whole other story. And not a particularly nice one. So we'll skip on from there. Grocery carts can tell researchers who may be at risk for stroke. And 39 shoppers were diagnosed. Wow. So I suppose they're building little detectors into the handle of shopping carts. I'm guessing probably as an experiment more than anything, but quite useful. Of course, these days with smartwatches, they have a lot of those sensors built in now, so they can kind of tell what your heart condition is, whether you're going to have a stroke and so on. But good idea to put them into shopping carts, particularly, of course, for older folk. Us younger folk, of course, these days are largely shopping online, having it delivered. Are you still doing that? We started doing it during the pandemic, and we haven't really stopped. It's just so convenient. Supermarket carts in Liverpool, England, were fitted with sensors that could identify people at risk of a stroke, and dozens of willing participants were diagnosed. Atrial fibrillation, or AFib, is a common heart rhythm disorder that causes blood clots to form and can cause breathlessness. So more than 40 million people around the world suffer with this, and I'm just trying to see why they did this. Over the course of 2 months, here we go, 2,155 adults volunteered to participate in the study organised by a team from Liverpool John Moores University. Professor Ian Jones sought to test the possibility of giving health checks to people out in public without disrupting their daily routines. It's clever, isn't it? Actually, if you were a large supermarket chain, that's a really good news story, isn't it? You know, have these things fitted to your shopping carts. I mean, it does a couple of things, actually. Firstly, it's a good news story. Hey, we really care. We're taking heed of your health. Second, it actually gets people into the stores, because although they're happy for us to shop online, what doesn't happen when you shop online, as much as it does in store, is impulse buying, the science of selling. You see, the reason why they put chocolates and candy and stuff at the counter when you go to check out, because you go, quite fancy one, I'll put that on the thing. Or they put the real nice stuff they want to sell at eye level, so that's the first thing you see. There's reasons for it all. You know, they put the bakery department just inside the front door as you come in, because at this point you're feeling a bit peckish. You know, most people go shopping feeling peckish. You should have a meal before you go shopping, because you will buy less. Fact. But they don't. So they put the smelly stuff, the nice smelling stuff there, you see, but draws you in. But they can't do that if you're buying online. So actually getting people into the store, it's called experiential shopping, and say, come on in, because you can have a health check. We're doing a health check, special trolleys, and we just need to, need to sign a thing, a disclaimer thing, and then you can have one of our special trolleys, and it's going to check whether you're at risk of certain things, and we got a doctor at the other end when you're finished, and they'll tell you how it went. I think that's quite a good plan. Get people into the store. The team rolled out the carts to shoppers who volunteered to participate at 4 supermarkets, including Sainsbury, by the way, not Sainsbury's, and Lloyd's Pharmacy, although it was Sainsbury. J. Sainsbury was the name of the original owner of Sainsbury, and then so many people started calling it Sainsbury's, as in Sainsbury's supermarket, that I think they officially changed it to Sainsbury's. And Lloyd's Pharmacy stores, they browsed a bit like Walgreens in the States. They browse the supermarket aisles after being asked to hold the bar for at least 60 seconds before releasing. Well, I don't know about them, but I take a bit longer than a minute to get my shopping done. How's that going to work? An in-store pharmacist then did a manual check and a second sensor reading, this time using a standalone bar. Nearly 2/3 of the shoppers we approached were happy to use a trolley, said Jones, the lead author. The vast majority of those who declined were in a rush. That's fair enough, rather than being wary of being monitored. That's why I avoid supermarkets now, just to do online shopping. I don't want to see all that stuff. Yeah, right. I mean, it's designed to entice you to buy it. So yeah, I'm pretty good though when I go shopping. I just have my list. That's all I'm picking up. Over the course of the Shops AF study, a cardiologist reviewed data and found that those with unclear ECGs got an invitation to repeat the measurements. Those who were confirmed to have AFib were given a cardiologist's appointment within 2 weeks. You go down to buy all of your unhealthy food only to be told that you've got an AFib issue and you could be at risk of a heart attack or worse. Anyway, there you go. That's all good, innit? That's all good. Ah, bless. It's good to have a bit of good news. Shall we get the wheel sorted? I reckon we should, don't you? Let me just grab everybody from the from Streamlabs a second. Here we go. And copy those out. Excellent. Studio mode. Entrance. There it is. I'm going to paste paste you in, and then we'll get a flick in and see who's going to win today. In it goes, and a shuffle, a little shuffleette. 3, 2, 1, there we go. All the shuffles are done. Let's get down to the Wheel of Fortune. Here we are, look at that. Woo. The good news is Ryan doesn't blame Neil. It's good not to blame Neil, he's a good chap. Well, here we are, ladies and gents, at the Wheel of Fortune. Let me get the wheel up so that we can spin it. We're going to start, as always, of course, with the entrance. So, without further ado, as I believe a phrase that was coined by Shakespeare, was spin the wheel. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Dibba, 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 dibba. I don't know why I'm not adding anything to this, am I? Da, 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 da. Who's gonna be? Who's gonna be? Oh, could it be Ray? Could it be Bat Reaver 1? Oh, it's starting to slow, it's starting to slow, it's starting to slow. I think it's going to be a Reaver today. Woohoo! Bat Reaver 1! All right, Ryan, one of your many million accounts. Congratulations, dude. Right, let me get up the games. So we'll see what game you're going to win today. Wow, Ryan. Ryan plays the game. He really does. He puts everything on black. Poor old Ray. Ray was almost there, weren't you, mate? It was just like that close. That close. Let's press the wheel and see which game Ryan has won. Let's do this. It's Horizon Zero Dawn. Oh, I've got my... Get ready to write it down for you here, Ryan. It's gonna be... Oh, Oddworld. Munin. Oh. Well, I don't know what it is, but it's yours. I'll get that code to you shortly, my friend. That's good news. That's all good news. I love it. Brilliant stuff. Well done. Well done, mate. Oh, Adam, what have you done? You've got another account going on there as well. Which was this the account that missed it, or was this another account completely? Oh dear, oh dear. All right, here we are. Now, I'm going to do something a second. Let me just turn that off. Paste that in. There we go, that's better. Now we've got proper ducking going on. Hey! Whoa! Actually, do you know what? We talked about... I've got some more good news. We talked about the not the NHS. Yes, we did, the NHS, didn't we? We said that it's 50% of the over 80s and all that stuff. Today's a special day. It's the 75th anniversary of the UK National Health Service coming into operation. The thing that our current government have been trying to destroy for 20 years. Oh, is it Norse mythology? Nice. Munin. Yes. Well, I'll get that over to you soon, my friend. You just hang on in there. As soon as the show's concluded, I will get you the code, and you can enjoy that one. Oh, it was so close for poor Ray. Poor old Ray was that close to a bit of Norse mythology. Sorry, dude. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Tomorrow's Thursday, Cloud Gaming Thursday. I happen to know that Rokk Players has an amazing VIP guest lineup tomorrow. I shall confirm it all later and hopefully have some news for you tomorrow, but I know that there are some great guests coming on. It's going to be a really, really good show. So make sure you don't miss that. Get it in your diaries for tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll have a look at Cloud Gaming, new Epic game. We'll have a look at all the new GFN news. There's some new Xbox news, new cloud games coming to Xbox, some new PlayStation news, there's some Black Nut news, there's some Boosteroid news, there's a load of cloud gaming news for tomorrow, so we'll cover that all tomorrow. Our government also does the same, try to destroy Social Security, Medicare and Medicaid. Yeah, although largely it's not the governing government, is it, that's doing that? I mean, why? I don't get the games. I know politics is politics, but why play games with people's lives? It just makes no sense. It's irrelevant who it is, irrelevant which country or what colour. Why play? If you go into politics, it should be because you want to make people's lives better, not necessarily to, enrich your own pockets, which is what seems to me most of them do these days, don't they? There could be laws to stop it. You could stop lobbying tomorrow. There's no need for it. Paying $10,000 for that. Here's a campaign fund, $4 million. Now can you make sure that you ban this, this and this, which is wholly detrimental to society, but it's great for my business. 75 years of our national health, hoping we make it past 100, yeah. Hoping we make it past 76 at this rate, mate. But for sure, we need that. We need our National Health Service. It's a thing that I often say, being a kind of social liberal kind of individual, that I totally understand that we have to work within our means to pay for things, but some things cannot and should not have a profit aligned to them, and the health service for me is one of them. But it's, for too long they've tried to run it like a business. You cannot run a health service like a business. It should be like anything that's deeply social should not be judged on whether or not it makes a profit. I agree, says Adam. Most politicians find it's easier to take money from lobbyists. Yep. Big money interest than it is to do things. Absolutely right, my friend, to help regular people. Totally agree. Anyway, it's Good News Wednesday. We will have more fun tomorrow as my pen flies across the room. Oh, I tell you what, here's a bit of good news. I've got to do a video about this as well. I've just got to do it. I have now got my ROG Ally. I can now control it with an app that works like a mouse and a keyboard on my phone. It's amazing. So I don't even need a mouse and keyboard anymore with it plugged into my TV. And so I can control the whole thing. It's literally become like my PC console. And today I successfully managed to stream in 1440-60, a game that I was running on my PC, which would normally have crashed the PC if I was trying to play and stream at the same time. It's just amazing. So I've got to get a video out for that, because I don't think that anyone's done a video showing how to use it as a streaming device. I mean, most of them are out there about gaming, and that's actually what I've done the least of in terms of native gaming. So Adam says we need an NHS, a National Health Service here, or something similar to at least replace the private insurance system. Yeah, well, where money becomes so ingrained and then becomes a massive aspect of tax, it's almost impossible to get rid of it. Such a shame. Anyway, he's got to go. We've got to go. Take care, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And, of course, I will see you tomorrow. Have a fantastic Wednesday. And here's to Thursday. Take care, guys.